Nancy Guthrie confessed everything in the note she left behind for her daughter, Savannah Guthrie. In the quiet hours before dawn on a cold February morning in 2026, Nancy sat alone at her modest wooden desk inside her longtime Catalina Foothills home, a burnt adobe sanctuary she had cherished for decades near Campbell Avenue and Skyline Drive in Tucson, Arizona. The house had witnessed her happiest memories and her deepest sorrows, serving as a refuge through every season of her life. At 84 years old, her hands trembled slightly as she lifted her pen, yet the ink moved steadily across the page. This was not an ordinary letter, but a deeply personal confession, the release of emotions she had carried silently for most of her life. Addressed to her youngest daughter, Savannah, the accomplished and beloved anchor of NBC's Today Show, Nancy's words were honest, vulnerable, and shaped by decades of endurance. She began by admitting that she had spent much of her life appearing strong for others while hiding her own fears, writing that she had smiled through storms and carried burdens quietly, but now felt compelled to tell the truth and acknowledge that she had never been as unbreakable as everyone believed. The note was discovered days later after Nancy's sudden disappearance shocked the nation. What began as a missing person report on February 1st, 2026 quickly evolved into a frightening investigation when authorities found her home disturbed and her pacemaker monitoring app mysteriously disconnected. Law enforcement agencies launched an urgent search as concerns spread across the country. Savannah publicly pleaded for her mother's safe return, appearing alongside her siblings Annie and Cameron in emotional messages shared online, urging anyone with information to help bring their mother home. The family offered rewards while community members gathered for prayer vigils, holding candles and hoping for a miracle. Nancy's fragile health made the situation increasingly dire. She suffered from cardiac issues, high blood pressure, and depended on daily medication. Unable to walk far without assistance, each passing hour deepened fears that time was running out. Tragically, hope gave way to heartbreak. On February 10, 2026, authorities confirmed that Nancy's body had been discovered in a remote area outside Tucson. Investigators believe she had been the victim of a kidnapping that ended disastrously. Details remained limited, but grief spread nationwide as condolences poured in for her family. Mid-morning, Savannah shared portions of her mother's letter on air, struggling through tears as she read words that revealed the private, emotional world Nancy had long concealed. The confession transformed the note into a lasting legacy, offering insight into a woman defined not only by strength and faith, but also by vulnerability and sacrifice. Though Nancy never intended the letter to serve as a farewell, it became her final message, revealing the depth of love she held for her family and the quiet burdens she had carried alone. Nancy Ellen Long was born on January 27, 1942 in Fort Wright, Kentucky during the turbulent years of World War II. Raised by her parents William and Jane Long in a modest Midwestern home, she grew up surrounded by simplicity, faith, and strong community values. Fort Wright was a place where neighbors knew one another, and church life shaped daily routines. As the eldest child, Nancy quickly developed responsibility and compassion, traits that would define her adulthood. Her childhood unfolded during the hopeful post-war decades when opportunity seemed limitless for those willing to work hard. Immersed in Catholic tradition, she attended St. Agnes Elementary School where discipline, service, and education were deeply emphasized. She later graduated in 1959 from Notre Dame Academy in Park Hills, Kentucky, an all-girls Catholic high school known for academic rigor and moral instruction. During these formative years, Nancy discovered a love for writing and storytelling, earning a reputation among classmates as intelligent, lively, and thoughtful. Her ambitions continued at the University of Kentucky in the early 1960s, where she majored in journalism. Drawn to the power of words, she joined the student newspaper staff and eventually became society editor, covering campus life and community stories with warmth and attention to detail. Professors and peers remembered her ability to find humanity within ordinary moments. College also brought unexpected romance when she met Charles Errol Guthrie, a mining engineering graduate, during a blind date arranged by friends. Their relationship grew steadily through shared dreams of family and adventure, culminating in their marriage on December 28, 1963. Their partnership soon carried them across continents as Charles's career required relocation to various mining projects around the world. In 1971, while living in Melbourne, Australia, Nancy gave birth to their youngest child, Savannah Clark Guthrie, completing their family alongside older siblings Annie and Cameron. 2 years later, the Guthries settled permanently in Tucson, Arizona, where desert landscapes and open skies became the backdrop of their lives. Nancy devoted herself fully to motherhood, creating a structured and faith-centered home where spirituality guided daily life. She volunteered at schools, organized community gatherings, and became known for kindness and reliability. Life seemed stable and joyful until tragedy struck in 1988 when Charles suffered a fatal heart attack while traveling for work. Widowed at 46 with 3 teenage children, Nancy faced overwhelming uncertainty but chose resilience over despair. Determined to support her family, she returned to the workforce, securing a position in public relations at the University of Arizona. Her professionalism and communication skills earned admiration from colleagues who described her as calm, dependable, and deeply compassionate. Beyond her career, she remained devoted to community service and church involvement, mentoring young mothers, supporting widows, and organizing faith-based initiatives. As her children grew, Nancy took immense pride in their accomplishments, particularly Savannah's rise in journalism from local reporting to national prominence. She celebrated every milestone, including Savannah's marriage and the births of her grandchildren, traveling whenever possible despite declining health. In her later years, Nancy lived quietly in her Catalina foothills home, surrounded by memories of family life. Photographs, awards, and children's artwork filled the rooms as reminders of love and legacy. Though aging brought health challenges and reduced mobility, she rarely complained, choosing gratitude over self-pity. It was during this period that she wrote the deeply personal note discovered after her disappearance. Within it, she admitted fears she had hidden for decades, confessing that after her husband's death, she often felt terrified about raising her children alone and uncertain about financial stability. She reflected on dreams set aside for motherhood, expressing no regret, yet wishing she had shown herself more compassion. She acknowledged moments of impatience, grief she never allowed herself to fully express, and pain she concealed to avoid burdening her children. Nancy wrote tenderly about her bond with Savannah, describing their relationship as both mother and friend, strengthened by shared understanding of loss and faith.